but hopefully it'll make some of the views even sweeter from our little red boat here. And our little red boat is called the Spirt of the Docklands, and you're all very welcome once again onto it, and onto also the River Liffey. Just ahead of us here, we're looking at the old heart of the city, where we started as kind of the modern centre of Dublin city, but for a long time it was up ahead of us. And in fact, the direction we're going is quite an appropriate place to start, because the people who kind of brought us into the first stages of becoming the city we are today were the Vikings. And they were first spotted on this part of the river sailing in this direction in 837 AD. And it was a few years later they actually decided to settle here, to stay here in 841. We must have gotten along quite well with the Vikings, so they probably said, we're going to stay here, we like these people, because they mustn't have liked the weather, because it's not often like this. But they stayed anyway. And they would have come up this direction and they would have taken a left just a few meters in front of us there, sailing down a river called the River Puddle. And it was on this river where a deep, dark, black-coloured pool was formed. And it was in this pool that the Vikings actually docked their longships between raiding nearby areas and things like that. But it was in this area too that they settled in 841. And as I said, a black-coloured, very deep pool. They liked this pool, the Vikings, so much that they began calling the entire area after this black pool. And Blackpool in Old Irish is Dublin. Sounds a bit familiar, doesn't it? Of course, it was anglicised over the years to become Dublin. So the Vikings, they gave us our name. Although they robbed a good deal of things from us over the years too, and they pillaged before they settled here, they did give us our name. So if it wasn't for the Vikings, God knows what we'd be called. And probably would have been named by an Irishman, which probably wouldn't have been a good idea. But the River Puddle, though it doesn't flow overground anymore, that's the entrance to it today. Because this ancient river flows underground. So not only is it our ancient river, it's also kind of like our hidden river in the city too. You might be able to see, can you see kind of spikes there on the entrance? They're like a metal grating. That's actually, although it looks quite old, it's quite a modern addition. And as we turn here, before we sail up that direction, you might catch another glimpse of it. Those were put there in recent times to prevent Irish rebels from swimming up the ancient river and placing explosives underneath Dublin Castle, underneath which this ancient river flows. So basically, those metal gratings are a nice symbol of how we can't really be trusted in this city. But most of us are alright, so you don't have to worry about that. So as we turn, guys, just in front of Millennium Bridge here, once known as Essex Bridge, you'll see to your left the direction we're about to sail into. And the closest bridge to us there is the Millennium Bridge. And the bridge just after that, you might catch a glimpse of lovely, curved, arching, white cast iron halfpenny bridge. We'll be going in that direction just in a few moments after we swing ourselves into position to do so. And trying not to get dizzy as we do our little spin here, you'll see to your right over this ancient hidden River Puddle, this whole area here, stretching even further behind us there is known as Temple Bar. And some of you may have heard of the area, possibly some more of you may have taken a stroll through the area, visited one of its famous watering holes. But one of its most famous watering holes, its most famous pub, is called the Temple Bar. And that's why a lot of people assume, because it's quite an old bar, that that's where the name of the area comes from, the Temple Bar. It is Ireland after all, so it wouldn't be beyond us to name an area after a pub. But, in fact, the name of the area came before the name of the pub. So where then does the bar part come from? Well, when they were naming this area, this river wall looked much different. And as our skipper told you before we started our sailing here, the river water of the Liffey rises and falls quite dramatically and quite a good deal throughout the day. This rising and falling back then would have created a sandbar along the side of the river here, hence the name Bar. And the temple comes from the man who owned the area, Sir William Temple. He was an English statesman, an essayist, and his family had lived in this area for many generations, so they named it after him and his family too. So if you are on the Temple Bar pub in this area later on, tell them that fact. You might get a free pint of Guinness, who knows? It's a Sunday, anything can happen. The sun